Hi, brothers and sisters. Hope you are all doing good by God's grace. In this video, I'd like to talk about chapter 15 of the book Hero My Sons, written by Brother Zach Punan. I would like to mention two things what brother has written in this chapter. One is about the balance between spiritual and academic life, and second thing is uh, about the social media influence. So I would like to read what brother has written here. In college, you must try and find the right balance between the spiritual and the academic, for God is the one who has ordained both. He has not ordained that we spend all our time reading the Bible and attending meetings, but that we spend the major part of our time in secular earthly occupations, whether working in an office or studying in a college or looking after home needs as parents. So you can't glorify God by merely going to many Christian meetings if that is going to lead to your neglecting your studies and getting poor grades. To put God first is correct, but to put numerous meetings first is not necessarily correct. We should not equate God with meetings. We must be realistic. So, brothers and sisters, I felt that these two topics about the balance between spiritual and academic life and about social media are important things to be mentioned, and I would like to mention here in my YouTube videos. So, one thing I learned from this chapter is that I need to have the balance between spiritual and the academic life. And brother mentions here that attending all the church meetings and all the Bible studies may not necessarily make us spiritual. What makes us spiritual is to become like Jesus Christ, to obey his commandments, and to be filled with his spirit. So, just merely attending the church meetings may not make us more spiritual. And brother mentions here that we should spend major part of our time in secular and earthly occupations. And one thing I remember is that God has commanded the Israelites to work for 6 days and one day to take rest. And this is not given to us. I feel that this is not given to us as a commandment in the New Testament, but Paul mentioned to Thessalonians to work hard and not to eat food if you don't work. So one thing I learned is that as a Christian, I should put my best efforts in my earthly job, the work, whatever I do. And if I keep on attending all the meetings, sometimes it may not be profitable. Sometimes I may have to skip the meetings and do my earthly job in order to glorify God. So, some people may force other younger people to attend all the meetings, saying that if you do the God's work and God will do your work. That may not be true, and we should be having more discernment to decide whether to attend a meeting or whether to stay at home and do my work. So, brothers and sisters, uh, I wanted to mention two things that I learned in my spiritual growth, that I have to do my best in my studies and to leave the result to God. And I wanted to mention even one of my experience in my academic life as well, that in my undergrad, I did my best, and in my masters, I did my best in my studies. But uh, in my undergrad, I got only 7 points out of 10 as my grade. But in my masters, I got 9 out of 10. But in both of these times, I wanted to say that I did my best. Maybe in my undergrad, the approach uh, I took for my studies may not be a profitable way that will give me good grades, but I did my best whatever I know at that time. But in my masters, I was little more matured and I know how to put my efforts, and then that has resulted in a good grades. But one thing I learned, I had to give my best and leave the result to God, no matter what my grade will be. So we don't need to be discouraged or we don't need to blame somebody, but we just need to see if there is anything fault in the way we approach to do the studies. So, and another thing, brother, I also learned from Brother Zach is that if somebody comes and asks him to pray for the exams, he sometimes asks the students whether they had worked hard. So what I learned from that is that there is no point of asking God to give us good grades without doing the hard work first. God is not going to bless a lazy person, and even Satan is not going to fear a lazy person at all. It is God who asks us to work hard like an ant in the Bible. So, brothers and sisters, I would like to encourage all the younger brothers and sisters to work hard and to glorify God. And it's not merely attending all the meetings will make us spiritual. Sometimes we may have to skip the meetings in order to study. I also would like to give another suggestion to younger brothers and sisters is to make sure to attend the Sunday church meeting and one weekday meeting. That will not make us to lack in fellowship, and at the same time not to lack in working hard as well. And sometimes you may have to skip the weekday meetings or even Sunday church meetings as well. But our final goal is to glorify God. And lastly, I also would like to mention about the social media. Social media is a good tool. We can glorify God through that, but there is a deception in that if we don't use that as per God's will. So one thing I would like to mention is about the scrolling and the reels and the shorts in the social media. So scrolling can become an addiction, and uh, that scrolling can also be done in the form of reels and the shorts. Actually, shorts and reels are also good if you are using it for the good purposes. But what I learned from my in my spiritual growth is that these shorts and reels can become deceptive, because if people are asked to sit and watch 1 hour video at a stretch, they may not watch it. But if that was cut into 1 minute or few seconds videos and then asked to watch, people don't know when 1 hour is done or half an hour is done. I was in that trap in my life as well. So as the days goes by, I learned that all my time is getting consumed in watching reels and shorts. So if it is a spiritual shorts, I will watch sometimes. But if it is not spiritual shorts, I decided not to watch YouTube shorts or Instagram reels, because sometimes that some tempting videos may appear in the shorts and reels. So brothers and sisters, since God has asked us to be a light to this world, God has commanded us to be a light to this world. Let's be light to this world, brothers and sisters. May God bless this video. Thank you, brothers. Amen.